And Coach, I'll let you have an opening statement, then we'll open up for questions.
Would just like to extend our thanks to all the Orange Bowl committee people that have organized our trip. It's been a great few days. All the people at Barry University where we've practiced have been just outstanding. Everybody at the hotel, the Donald Trump, Doral. Don't know all of it, but the people are fabulous. You know where it is. It's just everybody's just been so outstanding. It's been really well run, well organized, and again, our facilities to work in have just been exceptional. So we've had a really good week. I'm really proud of our players, the way they've come to meetings, the way they've handled themselves in all the functions they've been involved in, and the way they've come to practice. I feel like we've had a great 4 or 5 days of practice. We've had a lot of good work against each other, competitive work, good on good, along with some scout work, of course, for Clemson, and feel like we're in a great position coming into the game. All the respect in the world to Coach Sweeney and his staff and their team, the only undefeated team in the country here. And number one in the country. They've got excellent players across the board on offense and on defense. They do a great job. So it'll be a big challenge. We're very aware of that. But in the same way, our players are very focused and confident and in the way we've been playing. And hopefully we could come out and play our best game of the year here Thursday night.
Questions? Get in the mic. Sorry, in the back right.
Bob back here, James Hale, Sports Talk 1400, the ref in Norman. Bob, you've gone against some of the best pass rushers in college football in the Big 12, and in your season in Lawson, you'll go against another one. You have one in your squad in Stryker. Can you talk about how difficult it is to try to contain a guy that's really the focus of their defense and a guy that's really good at getting off the edge?
Yeah, he's, you got to do a great job with your technique. If you're late off the ball or if you take a poor step, he's going to beat you. He's just got excellent power to go with quickness and, and speed. So, he plays with great technique. So, our guys matching up with them are going to have to do that. They're going to have to play with great technique and execution. Timing's a factor in it. Baker and his ability, hopefully, to get the ball out. Hopefully we can get open in a quick way and get the ball out quick. And, Baker's going to have his moments where he's not going to do that, and he's going to start running around, and hopefully he can make them miss them and get away from them too. He has a way of doing that.
Myron Patton Fox, 25, Oklahoma City. Could you talk about, Deshaun Watson, obviously a dynamic player, and you face other run-pass quarterbacks, but just some of the things that you have to do to contain him because the guy can throw it and run?
Yeah, first, in all critical situations, it's him that's going to have the ball. Quarterback run game or boots, those they like to get them out of the pocket on boots in critical situations, 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts, as well as run them, so we've got to do a great job on the quarterback run game and then contain him. When he pulls the ball down, when he's trying to throw it, he can make some great plays when he pulls the ball down and runs as well, so we've got to do a great job staying in front of him.
Dean Blevins, CBS, Oklahoma City. Baker is an emotional guy, and all the hype for this ball game, you can see him maybe being overamped. Do you talk to guys about being able to throttle it back, Bob?
Yes and no. Baker is a very smart player. And everyone said the same thing before he played Texas Tech. Well, he's going to be super amped for this game. Well, he played great. And I asked him about it. He says, "No, Coach, I understand that doesn't do well for me. Play like you've been playing all year." And I'm sure Coach Riley will visit with them about it. And play within yourself. And you don't being for a quarterback to be overly amped doesn't always work. And I often tell them when the guys are getting all juiced up, find your corner to collect yourself and get away from it, because it's a little bit different animal to be the quarterback and all that they have to think of and operate in. And he's done a great job of it, though, so I trust he'll handle it the right way.
Front here on the left.
Coach Brad Fralick with WIFF-TV in Greenville, South Carolina, the NBC affiliate. Dabo Swinney had to send 3 players home for disciplinary action yesterday. Have you had any players have any disciplinary problems since you guys have been here in South Florida?
We have not.
Rebecca, right to your left.
Just kind of as a follow-up to that, do you expect that to have any impact on them? Does it change any, with 3 guys, particularly a kind of a key receiver for them being out, change anything you guys do?
It won't change anything we do, no. I'm sure they'll have another, excellent player in there, running routes.
Front on the right here.
Yeah, Bob, Kurt Bowles from the Austin American-Statesman. You've made other changes, offensive coordinator at your time at Oklahoma. How hard is that, and how long do you feel like it took to get comfortable and on the same page?
You mean this year?
Yes.
It took a little while, obviously. The obvious games are, Tennessee. We really didn't get it going till late in the third quarter. And, and then the Texas game, we were very inconsistent as well. I think some of it, Coach Riley, along with the offensive coaches, we were helping a young, inexperienced offensive line, along with an inexperienced fullback tight end, come along to gel, to communicate together, to see things the same way, and how they were identifying blocks and who they were going to. That took a little while. And then I think also Coach Riley, just personnel-wise, figuring out, the combinations to be on the field at the same time. And to limit, he really then started limiting our substitutions patterns and how we substituted, and that allowed for more tempo, and we started to be more efficient that way. So, it was, and rightfully so, when you have a new coordinator and he's figuring out all his pieces, you need more than just spring practice, because different teams are going to attack you differently. And it took a few games to, midway through the season, to get the right combinations in there, and for some of those younger guys to mature and grow. And once they started to grow, and we started to figure out the best substitution patterns for us to be in. Pardon me? Yeah, all of that. And then it started to click, and then we started to really, hum.
On the right again here.
Good morning, Coach. Stan Mays, 107.7 The Franchise, Oklahoma City. Your team in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season is playing the most physical football in college football. How difficult is it to stay that physical throughout bowl practice?
Well, we've really practiced a lot like we did the last 4 or 5 weeks of the year, where we really got, because we've been healthy, we've been able to challenge each other. We have a lot of team periods, not a lot, but a couple every day that we keep score, and it's whether it's third downs, whether it's first downs, whether it's, we have a team run period, we have some 2-minute drill or a third down periods, a 2-point play, where we really challenge each other and see who's going to win. And I feel when we did that through the back half of the season, we continued to get better. And so we hope we've made each other better here, even in the last few weeks, the way we have kind of competed against each other. So we've practiced in the same manner. So hopefully we can, have some of the same results.
Any other questions? Coach, right here front. Right.
Myron Patton again, Fox, Oklahoma City. Could you talk about the season? You got work to get done, obviously. You want to win 2 more games. But up to this point, how satisfying the season's been, considering how last year went. And then also you had people on maybe outside saying, we've seen the best of Bob Stoops. And obviously you've had a bounce back year. Could you kind of talk about
There's not a lot to say about it. What we've done is what we've done. It's pretty evident that a lot of that isn't true, that we've got a strong program. It wasn't nearly as weak as people wanted to say it was a year ago. Again, I remind everyone just the year before we had just won the Sugar Bowl and we're sixth in the country. So, you have some bad breaks. You get a few things don't go your way, and you go 8-5, and that isn't our standards. And listen, I'm the one who set the standards. They're not acceptable to me, and either when that happens. But players, took heart to it. They had a lot of to do with realizing that coaches only do so much. And their actions and what they do on the field, they ultimately make or don't make plays. And they had some meetings even in the wintertime leading up to our workouts that they really were going to hold each other accountable to standards of our work ethic and the way we prepare and the way we play, and it's made a difference. They really have made a big jump this year in the way we've competed on the field. And in the end, is it satisfying? Sure, but it would be if we had, won 11, 12 games a year ago. It's still great to be in this position, to be chasing the national championship here, so late in the year. And so anyway, and it's a fairly young team. And so hopefully we could just keep growing from it.
Dean Blevins, News 9. Tickets are distributed evenly or made available evenly, but Clemson will have a larger fan base here. What have you done in preparation, Bob, for that? You pipe in noise and music, into practice just like we do anytime we're going on an away game. And we're used to that. We played in front of 105,000 at Tennessee. So, what I like, for whatever reason too, the back half of the year, our best games have been on the road. And I'm kind of glad, we're all the way down here. I think, we've really been the most focused and played maybe the best when we've been on the road.
All right, on your left here, Coach.
Good morning, Bob. Bill Roden with the New York Times. Two things. A, do you like playing on New Year's Eve? And secondly, is it more difficult? There's been a lot of talk about how you get to be a head coach in this business. Is it more difficult? Is the route more difficult now than, let's say, when you were beginning your journey? And if there was somebody on your team, a kid who, not necessarily a big-time player, but who would like to be a coach, do you think it's a lot more difficult now than it is when you started?
First, I do like playing New Year's Eve because that's when we're going to play. And is it more difficult, you mean to enter into the coaching world today?
And ultimately to get to be a head coach.
Well, it's always been difficult to become a head coach. I'll be honest, I never had that as my goal. I just loved coaching and wanted to do a really good job wherever I was. Always had great relationships with my players. Loved the competitive part of it. Never thought about being a head coach. And then, the better you do or the more exposure you get, all of a sudden people are calling you about being a head coach. And then you start wondering, well, maybe I will. And, that's sort of how it happened for me. So I think it's tough. There's just not a lot of those jobs. And you know what I think too? I felt this way. I wasn't going to take one unless it was the right one. I didn't want to just take a job to be a head coach and not be in a very positive situation. That was my feeling, because I loved too much what I was doing at the time. At that time, when people started asking about that, I was working for Coach Spurrier at Florida, and I loved going to work every day and loved what we were doing. So anyway. As far as assistants, I think it is tougher today. You're only limited to 2 graduate assistants on each side of the ball. I think when I started in football at Iowa, we had 5 or 6 on each side of the ball. We had a bunch of former players, all of us that were in one room together, you know, sharing desks, breaking down film, but we all had opportunities to pursue then coaching. And so I was lucky Coach Fry and Coach Bill Brazier, my defensive coordinator, told me this is what I needed to do. And I trusted them and did it.
Coach Mike Gillespie from ABC Columbia over here. Hey.
On the left side.
The Sooners open as a 3.5-point favorite in this game. Are you comfortable being the favorite in this game, especially against an undefeated #1 team?
Don't really care about that. You know, I think we were favored last year, and obviously those people didn't see last year's game. So it doesn't, you know, it isn't something I ever pay attention to.
Coach, Greg Logan from Newsday. That's a perfect segue to my question. Sterling Shepard said that there have been a lot of in-team sessions watching film of that game, and he says he sometimes watches it privately. How have you orchestrated it this week to use that as a motivator?
Well, I think as much as anything, it's, you know, segments of the game and all parts of the game. You know, this is what we experienced. This is what we did. This is how I coached. This is how you played. And by our standards, it isn't acceptable. You know, and regardless of who we're playing, this isn't Oklahoma football the way we need to play. So we need to, you know, we need to make sure that we perform better than this.
On the right side.
Kerry Murdoch from Rivals.com and WWLS, the sports animal in Oklahoma City. Bob, I'm sure if you recast the votes today, Baker would easily be a team captain for you. But when you look at from where you started in the year, your leadership, you got big personalities on this team, you got earnest guys. What's it been like to watch this team develop? You talked about big wins on the road. This team's had a lot of adversity, you know, being in the airport at Kansas State, going to Kansas State. What's it been like watching this chemistry develop on this team?
Yeah, a real joy. One of my really all-time favorite years because of the players. Just their you know, their interaction and respect for one another, the way they listen to us, to the coaches, and you know, their intensity and focus. And you're right. We have a lot of strong personalities, not just the captains. I mean, you got other guys, as you said, you've got Baker, you've got Sterling Shepard, you've got Zach Sanchez. We've got a bunch of guys that all stick out and have, you know, strong personalities and have a lot to say and contribute to the team chemistry. And I think probably maybe the turning point in our year may have been that 10 hours in the airport in that little FBO, 140 of us crammed in there for 10 hours. We went out and got potluck, fast food, whatever people could bring back, find something so the players could eat, and you know, checked into our hotel, I think like 12:15 in the morning to play a 2 o'clock game the next day at Kansas State, you know, coming off a Texas loss. So, but the players had a lot of energy and in the FBO had a lot of fun. You know, there's a lot of interaction with all of us. It's funny when you're stuck somewhere for 10 hours crammed in there, you know, everybody's relating to one another and everybody kept their cool about it. And then we went out and played one of our best games, you know, the next day. So, but a lot of chemistry on the team.
Back here on the left side.
Okay, Bill Roden again. This, you know, from the moment Chip Kelly was hired in Philadelphia, people were saying, well, this is going to be a referendum on coaches, you know, from college stepping up and could they do it? And of course, he was fired yesterday. And I'm just wondering, does that, in your mind, does it mean anything? Is it sort of reinforce just how difficult it is to be in the NFL, or is does it reinforce the idea that this, you know, coaching in college and the NFL is almost day and night, and it's just a difficult transition?
Well, I think it's difficult anywhere. You know, it's competitive, and I haven't been in the NFL, so it isn't right for me to comment on what it'd be like to do that. But in the end, there's probably been some NFL coaches that have gotten fired in college too. So it's competitive, it's tough at all levels. and challenging at all levels. And that's in our profession. Those things happen. But there's a lot of parts to it that I think too a head coach can only control so much. And there's a lot of other parts to, I think, NFL organizations as well as in college.
In the front on the right.
Yeah, Kurt Bowles from the Austin American. I was curious what you did during those 10 hours at the airport personally. And then my other question is, do you see similarities between this and your 2000 national champion?
What I did, just kept, checking in with the players. Like I said, checking in with the people that were on the phones telling us we were going to leave in an hour, and then we didn't. Then tell them we're going to leave in another hour, and then we didn't. And, trying to find out where a plane was. And then eventually realized, all right, what's our strategy? Do we go home? But that's a 40-minute ride back with the buses, and then if all of a sudden a plane becomes available, how do we round everybody back up? So that wasn't a great option. Had we had a night game the next day, so what I was doing was strategizing, what are we going to do here? What's the best way to manage the team? With our athletic director, Joe Castiglione, and then had we had a night game, we would have went home and said, we'll leave in the morning. But we didn't. I didn't want to risk that with the 2 o'clock kickoff. And then it decided, all right, we're going to be here. Players need to eat. Let's everybody who has a car go out and find any fast food joint you can find and bring back 10 burgers or bring back 10 of something. And we had everyone go out and get burgers to pizza to chicken to whatever. I'll give Kentucky Fried Chicken a plug. That was the biggest hit. So when I walked in, we had one conference room, and we also spent time, offense had a meeting in there to review practice that day, then defense took their turn in there to watch practice, and then it became the music room. So there's probably 40 of them in there blaring music and chanting all the words and jumping up and down, and I came in with 2 buckets of chicken, and it went crazy. So it was. So anyway, you can get all uptight about it, but it isn't going to change anything. So I just thought, as a team, we managed it as well as you could, and really ended up having fun with it. That's what we ended up doing. Yeah, it's a team that's probably similar to the 2000 team in that kind of young. Started the year a little bit inexperienced, but grew and playing better than everybody thought they would. We were probably ranked in a similar position to start the year that year as well.
Yeah, I'm Bob Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. 2 questions. One, are you guys just going to bus to Manhattan from now on?
No, but
it's not that far.
What is it, about 5 hours?
Yeah, 4.5 from Oklahoma City. You
Yeah.
get a police escort, you can make it quicker.
Yeah, but you have to, it's in 17 years of me being the head coach, that's only the second time we've ever had a plane issue, so the first one was my first year there, our last game of the year, we lost at Texas Tech, where we were favored, and found out the plane wasn't coming, and we had to wait for buses, and we had a bus all the way back from Lubbock, and I told my operations guy, Matt, I said, it's what we deserve. So get on the bus, and there wasn't a radio, there wasn't a TV on it, they were clankety old buses, and we rolled all the way back about 7-8 hours.
Second, lots been talked about the speeches that were made in the Cotton Bowl after the game, after the loss to Texas. Some guys yesterday particularly were talking about Zach's, what he addressed to the team. What do you remember about that, and how unique and how different was that?
Well, it's I don't know. It's just different. I just sensed a strong, which I say it a lot. As a coach, and I don't want to act like we all can push every button. In the end, players got to. People ask, about motivation. As you know, who I motivate? Whoever the heck wants to be motivated. If you don't want to be motivated, it's not going anywhere, and that's a player's responsibility. When you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, no one's going to fool you into wanting to play for 4 hours. You be a man and you play. And I sensed that they felt that wasn't happening maybe, that there were some guys that weren't, whether it be, have the fight, the intensity, whatever it is to play at that level. And that's a player's responsibility. And in my eyes, it always has been. There was some talk just about that, about how they're going to compete.
Hey, Bob. Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports.
Never mind. Straight back, sorry.
Sorry.
I got a lot of hands up here.
What exactly is it about Lincoln Riley that you think makes him such a good coach? And the second thing is, how much suggesting, if at all, have you done when it comes to play calling and run pass emphasis this season?
Lincoln is incredibly bright. You could tell understands his system inside and out, so he's able to make quick decisions. I think probably the number one thing is he has answers to, what the other team may be doing, because he understands his offense so well. And, so all of it, he's a great communicator, great motivator, all those things. So he's got a bright future and continues to do great with our guys and does a great job with the rest of the staff. So all of it, he's been excellent. And what was your other part of that? Was
just in terms of how much emphasis, on run pass.
I stay out of it. I'm not that, an offensive play caller. I am not. And I think you start trying to interject into a play caller, that's never a good idea. He has a better feel for what he's setting up and how he wants to do it. All of that. As far as run to pass, I let him come to terms with it as we evolved, in the fourth, fifth game of the year. That look, even in the Texas game, if you take Baker's scrambles or sacks out of it, back still ran the ball for about 4 or 4.5 yards a play. So we had talked just a little bit about that of, possibly let's just keep making sure that that's part of, that that's a strong part of what we're doing, as long as it fits, in what you're trying to do. And it started to come to fruition after that. And then he settled, and that was he wanted to settle on simplifying substitution patterns and just eventually start getting into different formations without substituting. And that helped as well. So he made the adjustments, and I've given him free rein.
On the right side over here.
Bob, talking to Charles Tapper earlier this week, and his arm is all scratched up and skin missing, and he says, "Oh, Zeus did this," and he's Orlando Brown. He's really proud, to say that he did that. He loves how much progress he's made. I'm curious, kind of how unique that is that you have such a loose team off the field that likes each other, yet on the field between the lines they're very serious in practice and really almost try and kill each other all the time.
Very competitive. It's there's so much. It's really fun to watch because they really go at it hard, and they are very close. And then there's a lot of laughing walking to the locker room afterwards, who got who. And there's a lot of jawing and taunting and whatever because you can. In fact, Sterling caught the 2-point play to win the team period yesterday and slammed and spiked the ball 2 days ago. And, they wanted me to penalize him for it. And I said, he knows there's no officials out here. So they go at it. There's a lot of, there's a lot of back and forth on who's getting who today. And it's good. It's made us better.
Straight in the back.
Brian Brinkley, KFOR TV, Oklahoma City. Coach, what's impressed you about how your defense has played this year?
Well, all of it, really. A lot of things. Our communication's been excellent. I don't know that we've had a missed call all year. So the guys have just been great at the communication. We've been physical. I don't feel really there's a weak area from front to back, you know, so there's talented guys. You know, so like I said, we've played physical, we've been disruptive, we've caused turnovers, we've gotten a lot of sacks and tackles for loss, all of that. So, you know, they've been a really great unit for us.
Bob, James Hale, Sports Talk 1400, The Ref in Norman. The media had a chance to meet Joe for the first time yesterday. Could you talk about him being a part of your program and what it was like when he first earned his way back on the team, what it was like for him and the team to have him back out there, and you know, what it was, how much excitement he had to rejoin the team?
Well, you know, again, it's, you know, a situation that very unfortunate, and Joe was penalized. You know, Joe was removed from the team for a year, and we believe as a university, you know, that you give people second chances if they can do certain things to grow from it and learn from it. There is no excuse ever for violence against women at all. And but Joe was, you know, again, as a 18-year-old and a person we felt in the circumstances that surrounded it all that he deserved a second chance with strict guidelines moving forward. But he's met all of those. He's been a really good student. He's been a great teammate to everybody. And so he continues to do the things that the university has set in front of him to do, to be given that second chance. And hopefully, as a young man, he could keep growing from it. And if he does, you know, he'll be a very productive student or in person out in the community if he could continue to do that. And we believe, you know, overall with what we know about Joe, that he has the character to do that. And you know, hopefully he could keep doing it. But he's a spark for the offense. He's one of those guys that has all the energy. I've said it a lot, like Eric Stryker does to the defense, he does it to the offense, and it's natural for him. He just has a lot of fun out there and gets everybody energized, and everybody enjoys, you know, the way he does it.
Front here on the right.
Yeah, Bob, John Hoover, the Tulsa World. In regards to the comparison between this team and the 2000 team, and in regards to the way the team responded against Texas at the Texas game, that 2000 team was a really mature team and had been through some rough times. This team's a little bit younger. Did they maybe need that wake-up call to get that motivation, that internal motivation that you spoke about that was maybe missing for this team?
Probably a fair comparison in that the team that we inherited in 2000 and, you know, had been beaten down pretty good before we arrived. And we're told they weren't any good. We're told, you know, we're really beaten down, and they were sick of it. And so they played with that kind of attitude. And of course, our guys, you know, from last year have been kind of beaten down, and then we don't play very well. Or again, I'm all for give Texas the credit. They outplayed us, and you know, in the end, that may have been a wake-up call that they needed. That there's more to this, you know, and they've been able to, you know, to give that extra now to get themselves in that position.
All the way in the back.
Hey, Bob, Bonnie Bernstein. You've talked about how much you love this team. Can you speak to some of the specifics that they've experienced together, whether it's, you know, crushing bowl loss, tackling a social issue like they did arm in arm with the video on campus, and all those things that really go into this being a special group?
Yeah, it goes back to it starts at the last year's bowl loss to you know, to then we you know, some staff changes to now we're into spring ball, and we're canceling two or three practices because they felt the need to demonstrate, and rightfully so. That, you know, 80% of our team is probably minority, and they felt strongly that this is something that they needed to stand up against because it relates to them so closely, and they felt, you know, that even though this happens around the country, we have it captured. We need to, you know, because we captured it, we're strong enough to do something about it. And that was their stance, and they did a great job with that. And that was a lot. They had a lot of interaction through that time, a lot of meetings. and we're very thoughtful about how to continue to approach it. And then had a lot of discussions without coaches in there that were very heated. And so they, again, I think got to know each other more, respect one another more. All of it kind of, continued to happen that way. And then, I don't know, and then as that was a big factor. And then, just as we roll through the summer, just all of it, they just kept getting tighter and tighter. And I think, just again, maybe everybody doubting them as well. Maybe even for them, everybody doubting me, gets them to, that they need to do something about it. So all of it together, has made them a really, just a tough-minded, tight team.
All right, last question up front.
Dean Blevins, News 9. Bob, what is the single most important thing for your defense against an explosive Clemson offense?
Well, there's not one single. First, it starts with, Deshaun Watson for sure. We've already talked about that. But a year ago, they hit a bunch of big pass plays on us as well. And he's got a great arm. So, it's limiting big plays and controlling as much as anything, being great against the run game. That's always a major factor.